All it took was a brand new AGM battery, a boost from the Pulsar, and tons of cranking. Unfortunately, I broke off this line from the radiator and all of the starting troubles, so I gotta attach that back on. Here's the major damage I have to fix. So I broke the plastic piece off, and I just stuck a 632 machine screw in there for now so I didn't lose all my coolant when I drove it around. I bought two of these 5/16 hose barbs, one with an 1/8 inch threaded part and one with a 1/4 inch. I wasn't sure what size I wanted to use, but I'm going to use the 1/8 inch. I'll just keep the 1/4 inch for the next time I break something off, like probably up there. Now I know when I put this down here, people are going to be thinking, oh, it's got to be on the top. It should be there. I don't really care. This is all I can do. So this is how it's going to be. So I don't have to buy a new radiator. At least there's coolant up to that level. Hopefully the coolant here will just push any of the plastic debris out. Here's the proper tap. It's a 1/8 by 27 thread pitch. At least this is a self-lubricating hole that I'm tapping. Seems pretty alright. It's not that straight, but it's better than what I had before. Look at that. The hole in the radiator mount was meant for this. I think this is a feature now. It'll self-steady your screwdriver so you don't slip out using a stupid flat blade. Why didn't Volkswagen engineers think of this themselves? Now, instead of doing the sensible thing and letting this whole situation dry in the garage, I'm going to park the car back outside so I can get the RAV4 in here tonight. I won't have any problems with this in the future. Made it back from quick drive. Well, I wouldn't say quick. I got stuck in the RBC parking lot for maybe 10 minutes trying to get this thing running again because it died on me when I was driving down the road and had to pull in somewhere. It seemed like it was not getting enough fuel, so I went through a bunch of stuff and then I realized I left the main line to the injection pump loose. So luckily I had these with me, tightened it up, and it was good to go. This new AGM battery is the new hero though. I think it's going to save me a lot this winter. Today is the day I want to finally get the heat working in this car. I'll give a quick update of where I'm at for those who have not seen before. So I've already gone through the whole cooling system on the engine bay side of the car, fixed the radiator that was leaking, gave the heater core a good flush. The problem is the heater box itself. The main blend door, if you will, fell up into the box, and I'm guessing all of the foam is gone as well. So I'm not getting any of the air pushing through the heater core. So all I will get in any of the vents, which most of the vents aren't really working now since the door fell out, but it was just cold air. Before I started messing with that, I would get a tiny bit of warm air through here, but that was before I flushed the heater core and did a bunch of work. So now that the heater core is guaranteed hot, I just need to repair this box. Before I start doing any work on this, I'm going to leave the car in the garage with the windows down so that everything can hopefully thaw out a little bit so I have less of a chance of breaking old plastics. Now, I just have to get this unit out of here. This tool has made things so much easier, except when that happens, that I can reach places way better and spin them off. So the accelerator pedal is right in the way here, and if I can move this out of the way, the heater core has to come out right here. It was a very terrible thing to do, but I'll see if I can get it out. Another situation where this tool makes things so much easier. It was a lot harder to get these even loosened without it because a screwdriver wouldn't fit and the ratchet just kept falling off. You can see here on the other side, I have the cable that controls where the heat actually goes. It broke off of this piece here, so I have to fix that. There we go. That's zip tied in place now. I did one around the top and one around the bottom. Hopefully keep it in as well as it can be. I just got this door apart And luckily, there's actually no holes in it, like the newer Volkswagen ones are. It was just this nasty foam that disintegrated. I have this piece that clipped on and held the foam, so I'm going to see if I can use this packaging material to rebuild that. Here is this piece with all of the foam on it. I ended up doing 4 layers just because of how thin it is when compressed, so I wanted to get something closer to how it originally was. The edges don't look that nice, but I don't think it'll matter. I got it mostly back in. It was working all right, but I cannot fully clip it on because lots of these little tabs broke off on the end of there. I just decided to glue them all on to make it secure better. And this thing is absolute garbage. What is that? That's a clean surface. I think I'm happy with this now. I glued 2 pieces straight onto here by putting glue all the way across. Then I took this last piece, folded it over in half, then in half again, so it's 4 layers thick, and just glued all the edges and left it kind of loose in the middle so that it should have a better chance of sealing, I would think. Here's how it goes in the box. The only surface it seals is the edge. So I think I'm happy with this middle. So I am going to put some of this white foam along the edge so that it'll actually seal up well there. This might render all of this work useless, but it's there now. There we go, rebuilt better than factory. Maybe. Okay, here's this piece in here now. It seems like it'll seal pretty well. All I gotta do is put it all back together now, which I don't think is going to be the most fun to do. Here's a look at how everything sits. I mounted this side from the outside of the car because it seemed like the easiest way to do it, to stop everything from falling. Here we are a while later, everything is back together as it should be. Now I'm done with the interior stuff. Got those hoses back on, which are truly terrible things. I don't know why Volkswagen left such little room between the accelerator and these. Like, it basically rubs. If you have the hose clamp turned the wrong way, it'll catch. I had that problem last time and had to spin one around. Car is good and warm. Heater core is hot to the touch, but still no heat. I've tried setting it to heater and the other position, and there is no change in temperature to the hand. Right now it's set to heater. If I change it to vent, it doesn't feel any different. I've been sitting here for a while messing around with different speeds and different settings. I found that if I have it set to defrost, and at the lowest speed or second lowest speed, I'll actually get a little bit of heat out of here. I can feel a tiny bit of warmth. So it is making heat. Like, I knew the heater core was fine, but it's something to do with what I tried to reseal that did not reseal. So I'm going to have to try stuff. Look at all this wet. And for what? To be back where I was with the heat about a month ago in the car before I ripped apart the heater box for the first time. After dying in the bank parking lot again, luckily I was right beside a co-op so I could actually get what I needed and fix some of the problems to get home. I discovered the lines they used for the return line was way too big. They used like 1/4 inch and I cut another piece and just shoved it inside. So that's why I was always getting air bubbles in there. So I replaced this section with 1/8 inch because it was leaking the most to begin with. Then my main return line here, this hose is just so hard, everything just cracks on it every time you touch it. So I just kind of rigged this up. Luckily I had this in here still. So I just took the hose from there and shoved it in. So I'm going to need to replace all of these jumper lines and get a new line that goes back to where the metal line is that goes to the tank. I had to stop probably 3 or 4 times on the way home to bleed the air from the system, which is nice and easy on here because there's just a little valve in the bottom of the fuel filter, so I just crack it, tighten it up again, crank until it starts, make it a few blocks until these pulled in enough air again. Or this, it was bad, and I just died pulling into the garage, but I made it. So now I need to go get some more fuel line. All those lines are replaced now. See how long the PVC holds up with diesel. Not really sure, but I think that's what the old lines were, and they were too big, and they worked for quite a while, I guess. waits now. Now I have all the lines routed and properly dealt with. There are no leaks. Everything seems to be working properly. This line looks kind of like I crushed it with that zip tie, but there's still ample movement and it's not really crushed. I just had to go that much so that it wasn't fully moving around because I wanted it fully clear of the... And then here's the new return line. I ran down to the metal line that comes up there because this old one is just trash. If I just bend it here, yeah, it just snaps. So that's unusable. This should solve my fueling issues now. So that's pretty good. The only other major engine thing I'll need to do in the future is adjusting my valve lash. Alright, here's another reason the car seems hard to start. The block heater doesn't really seem to work all the time. Sometimes when I wiggle the wires around, it'll start working. I have it hooked up to this... Uh-oh. Oh, that's why it doesn't work. Good find. Turn that back off. But this, I have a Shelly 1 PM in here, so I can monitor the power being drawn and control it from an app. I have it integrated with Home Assistant. So I can go into that, see, oh, there was our spike right there when it started shorting out. So it was drawing power for a minute. Perfect. If I fix that, maybe it will work again. All I have in my assorted screws and hardware plus washers bin are 2 light up ends, which I don't really want to use on this, and then a female one. So I guess I'm going to use one of these for now, just so I have something to work. I had different use in mind for these when I bought them, but I don't know what that was. Definitely wasn't this thing. They're too good for this car. At least I'll get a ground again. That's nice. Look at this stupid thing. We have Phillips head screws on the bottom, and then Robertson combinations on the side. Why can't they just make them all Robertson combinations? Why do they need to be Robertson combinations? It should just be Robertson, nothing else. The superior screw. You know you're getting quality with that kind of squeeze. 3.34 amps, 400 watts. That's on brand with what a block heater should draw. It's about what the RAV4 takes. Perfect. One step closer to being a winter-ready vehicle. It's been a little while, but moving back on to this again. There's been a Christmas miracle, and now I have my motors. This is the one that I believe came from a Makita drill, so it's the one I want to use. First, I want to see how it runs on 12 volts. Oh my. Oh yeah, that seems healthy. Now, to make it work with this. Now I have something I can work with. Well, that's drilling far easier than expected. Maybe this will happen. Broke the bit off inside. That's fun. Here's the problem. I got a few threads cut by holding onto the bottom with my vice grips. But you can see I can't really go too much further before I'm hitting them. I opened it up. The easiest way to do it, I think. It didn't cut very deep threads. That's worrying me. I'm thinking this shaft is too small to go inside of this one now. Oh no, that's not getting good thread engagement at all. Just as I expected. This shaft is too small to go in this one. The only other thing I can think of doing now is filling this with solder, tapping it out to a M6. Okay, I just filled that with solder to the brim. While I'm waiting for this to cool down, I'm going to take a look at the logs in Home Assistant. We'll see there's where that little short happened. It's just been steady ever since on here. I'll reach in behind, see if I can feel any warmth. Oh yeah, it's the bottom of the intake manifold, and it's got a little bit of heat to it, so it's starting to transfer through the engine, which is nice. It kind of worked, re-tapping it out to an M6 with the solder in there, the solder doesn't hold nearly as well to tap into. It strips out very easily. Okay, I just threaded this in to there. I left these threads cut at an M7, and these were cut with an M6 with the solder that I put in there, and it seemed to bite pretty decently. I didn't like how much current it was drawing from my battery charger. It was maxing out the needle at 15 amps. So I'm going to hook it up to a battery and see how it goes. Oh my. If I can go behind it so that you can see it in action. Yeah, that is way too aggressive for a windshield wiper. And it might be stripping out the gears too at that speed. Yeah, that's too fast, and it's too hard to control with these. I just keep on shorting out and trying to weld to the casing. At least I have the motor working. Now I just need to come up with some sort of mount for it. I was trying to fix the lock on this handle because the day I put it on, it immediately stopped working. So I took it apart a couple times, tried to get it back together, and the last time I turned the lock, the top prong that sticks out broke off. Just the shittiest white metal or pot metal or whatever this is they used. So that's nice. I'm gonna see if maybe I can get my money back from Amazon, because these things are absolute shit. And they're keyed differently, just nothing is good with them at all. All of my lines are good now. No bubbling or anything. We'll continue the windshield wiper repair in the next video. There are bubbles still forming in this fuel filter here. I don't know if they're coming from this unit or somewhere further back. Anyways, everything else seems fine. I don't have any problems, and I drove it around quite a bit.